Muy buenas noches. Welcome to Estrategias Militares. We are live right now, May 14, 2026. News that isn't new, but is now confirmed. España, a Russian ship, a transport vessel carrying 2 nuclear reactors for submarines destined for North Korea, was sunk off the coast of Spain. That's right, 2 reactors on the seabed of... Family, your likes, your comments? This is military news. Let's get started. Good evening, family. Welcome to Military News. We're live now. Thank you so much for waiting. You have to understand that it's not easy to go down 2,500 meters deep to see if there are 2 reactors on a ship. No, that takes us time, and sometimes we take a little longer. I'm joking. Forgive me. Seriously, forgive me. I'll be honest with you. What's happening? I'm going to be sincere with you. Really sincere. Between one stream and another, I'm sleeping 35 to 40 minutes, because if I don't, I can't handle my life anymore. I'm really sorry. It's a very special situation today. I can't give you details about why, nor why it's military related. He didn't sleep last night or today. We can't talk about it, okay? We can't say anything. But I'm asking you for a little understanding. I'm exhausted. I'm broken. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm human. I can't take it anymore. I was about to cancel the stream because I'm not, okay, I'm very tired, but I want to do it because it's important. It's a super important topic. A cargo ship called Ursa Major, formerly Sparta of Russia's Shadow Fleet. Sanctioned by the United States, by Europe, and a few other countries for transporting weapons. The war in Ukraine. One day, on December 23, 2024, just before Christmas, it was sailing through the waters off the coast of Spain. Vidremar. The ship had no military escort of any kind. It looked like just another vessel lost at sea. There was a moment when something happened to the ship. It slowed down. It made a very sharp change of direction. Thank you. The naval authority that monitors the movements of the ships calls the vessel, asks if there is any problem, and they say no, that there is no problem. Fearing some kind of act of piracy or some kind of problem on board, they say there is no problem. And a few hours later, the vessel sends out a distress signal that it is sinking. There you can see it. The vessel begins to list to one side. And that's where tonight's story begins. A story that's going to blow your mind. So for you to start understanding the seriousness of this matter as of today, and you're going to see it here, and I'm asking for your help with this because it's serious. Spain doesn't know if there are 2 nuclear reactors off its coast, or if there aren't, if there's any radioactive leak, or if there's no intention to send any kind of mission to check it. And they're letting Russian ships show up there every month to take measurements and do some really strange things. There have been explosions on the seabed. Explosions have been detected where the Ursa Major sank. They have detected US maritime patrol planes flying over the area. Nothing has ever been said, nothing has ever been explained. Russian ships like the Yantar, which is a spy ship, have been detected sailing in the area. Nobody says anything here. This is the last position of the Ursa Major off Carboneras, south of Cartagena, near Cape Gata-Níjar. In this place, at this point, this ship that you are about to see now lies more than 2,000 meters deep. This one you're seeing. During the rescue, because crew members were rescued, 2 members of the crew, Spain did not have the opportunity, or we don't know, to access the ship and inspect the cargo or find out what was happening with this vessel. Different names. It Palmina, Spartan. And the last one, the one that sank to the seafloor, Ursa Major. Look at how far things have gone. They've talked about technologically advanced torpedoes, that someone torpedoed the ship, that a NATO power sank it. They're even talking about images, photographs of the 2 reactors on the deck of the ship. What you're hearing, this would be the photograph, in which you can see in this part over there, covered up with blue color on the lower left part of the ship. 2 containers or 2 square devices covered with plastic. Of course, and people say now, what the hell is that about there being those reactors in this story? 2 nuclear reactors bound for North Korea. North Korea wanted to install 2 nuclear reactors in 2 submarines it was building. The shipment takes place 2 or 3 months after North Korea begins sending soldiers to the war in Ukraine. It could have been the price Russia had to pay for that collaboration. No one sends a ship, no containers around the world. When you have railway systems that can connect you with North Korea, there was something else around there. Something else was happening at that moment. Let's listen here on Estrategias Militares, because I want you to see it. I want you to understand it. I want you to know about it. What's happening there? By the way, a new case of norovirus has now been confirmed on a cruise ship in Bordeaux. 1 person has died. Many passengers are showing norovirus symptoms. We have hantavirus, norovirus. The hantavirus will start to break out in 2 or 3 weeks. The cases of infection will start to appear like mushrooms all over the place. And according to CNN, going back to the topic of the ship, the Russian ship Ursa Major, it sank near Cartagena due to external reasons. The patrol vessel Serviola and the Clara Campoamor rescued 14 people. According to RIA Novosti, which is Russia's news agency, it was the victim of an act of terrorism. What was the last route that this ship followed that could have led to this? And it could still result in a huge environmental accident for Spain. Exactly. Family, we're live right now. We need a lot more likes. Please, your support is super important. We need to share this live stream as much as possible. We've also opened super chats and our paypal.me/estrategias militares. The main way to contact us is through super chats for comments. The ship sailed along the entire coast of Spain. It had been cruising around there from the Strait of Gibraltar onward. that can tell us how little control Spain has over its coasts, which is nothing unusual. Also, the fact that every day some sanctioned vessel crosses Spanish waters and is not stopped, called to order, detained, intercepted, inspected, or whatever else draws attention. Moreover, those vessels pass freely without any problem, without turning off the AII system. It's as if Spain knows about it, but doesn't do anything. There must be a reason for it. There must be some reason. Let's listen to what's being said before the investigative committee about this topic, so that people can understand it. Government of Spain.
Rojas Manrique.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President, Madam Secretary of State, honorable members, good morning. I am speaking on behalf of the Popular Parliamentary Group before this committee to learn about the information the government has regarding the sinking of the cargo ship Ursa Major, which occurred on the night of December 23, 2024 in the Western Mediterranean, about 60 nautical miles from Cartagena. The ship had departed on December 11 from St. Petersburg with Vladivostok as its official destination. After sending out distress signals on the 22nd Maritime Rescue, saved part of the crew. I understand why the incident took place in the SAR zone that corresponds to Spain.
Listen closely and pay attention to what they're going to say.
Later, a Russian military ship took over the operation, and the sinking occurred after several explosions or supposed explosions were reported on board.
Several explosions, a Russian ship? What was a Russian ship doing in Spanish waters during a rescue operation in Spanish waters? Thank you.
To this day, we do not know exactly the causes of the sinking, nor do we know if the ship was carrying Class 7 cargo.
Madam Secretary, Class 7 is radiological, nuclear.
Madam Secretary of State, we are not dealing with just any ship, and you will probably agree with me. The Ursa Major was a Russian auxiliary unit used for strategic logistics, belonging to a shipping company sanctioned by the European Union and the United States due to its connection with the logistics of the Russian army. These are ships that can alternate.
Thank you for that victory super chat.
Civilian and non-civilian crews, and that have operated on routes associated with Russian military projection in the Mediterranean.
Thank you, Fernanda. Well, there are strategic priorities. Without your live stream, who would tell us the news? I know, Fernanda, it's true, I know. But I can't go a day without us streaming live and telling what's happening. I can't. That's an obligation I have with all of you. And we have to make an effort. Sometimes there are days when we're better, sometimes days when we're worse. Thanks to Manolo and the moderation team for your effort. Thank you, Manolo. Thank you for being there and supporting. I feel really bad when sometimes we start late because there's breaking news or because something is happening or because these things physically happen. Patience. It's very healthy to have patience.
We are therefore facing an incident that is not only maritime, but also strategic. And that's why the issue we're raising today is not merely technical, it's institutional. What real capacity for maritime surveillance, preventive analysis, and strategic control did Spain exercise before, during and after this event? Because maritime security today is national security. And that's not a political opinion. It's established by Law 36/2015. Security, ladies and gentlemen. This episode cannot be analyzed in isolation. After the European sanctions on Russian oil, there has been a significant increase in the transit of vessels directly or indirectly linked to Russia in maritime areas close to Spain. Many operate under flags of convenience, opaque corporate structures, or ship owners who are difficult to identify, in addition to being very old ships that have not undergone rigorous inspections. As a Canadian parliamentarian, I must emphasize that this reality has direct implications for the maritime security of the archipelago. The routes of heavy hydrocarbons cross areas of high ecological value, fishing zones, and an economic environment that is extremely dependent on tourism and the rural economy. A single serious accident, a single spill, could have devastating consequences for decades.
Imagine, just imagine for a moment that there were two nuclear reactors there for a submarine. I was doing my research, I was preparing myself, gathering information. I'm not an expert in these subjects either. But an Oscar-class submarine, an Oscar II has two turbines, two reactors, two Okai 650B nuclear reactors. You see? Now let's look at some photos to see if this matches the story we're looking at. If that breaks and starts emitting radiation, the fishing, the safety of the people in that entire coastal area is in danger. Tides carry away the radioactivity in the water.
We can remember something essential when we talk about maritime surveillance. We're not just talking about radars, satellites, or ice tracking. We're talking about institutional presence at sea, about deterrent capabilities, and about effective control of the maritime space. Madam Secretary of State, regarding the sinking of the Ursa Major, I would like you to provide us with information. First of all, whether the Ministry of Defense has had its own information or assessment about the strategic nature of the vessel and its previous activity. Secondly, whether any specific monitoring or risk analysis was carried out before the incident, taking into account its origin, its history, and its geopolitical context. Thirdly, what coordination existed between Defense, Sarmiento Marítimo, and the European partners from the transmission of the distress signal until the sinking of the vessel. Fourthly, whether the Spanish government has had access to relevant technical information about the causes of the accident, the nature of the cargo being transported, or the VDR data, the black box. And finally, what operational conclusions does the Ministry of Defense and the government of Spain draw from this incident to strengthen the active surveillance of maritime areas under Spanish responsibility?
You're asking the government what it knows about this. Do you know anything? What was done? What's the protocol? What's being done? You're going to be amazed by the government's response, which doesn't seem very interested or eager to really find out what happened there.
The question isn't just whether the ship sank and where it sank. The question is whether Spain has effective surveillance, sufficient ability to anticipate, and real strategic control over the maritime areas that affect security. Because our maritime routes, our coasts, and our exclusive economic zone are not abstract spaces. They are areas where national security, the protection of the marine environment, the economic stability of territories like the Canary Islands, and ultimately the state's ability to exercise its responsibility are at stake. And that's why what we're asking for today is not classified information. We want to know whether Spain has sufficient resources, effective coordination, and adequate protocols to anticipate risks like the one posed by the Ursa Major case. Because maritime surveillance shouldn't start when the incident happens. It should start much earlier. Thank you very much.
Here comes the question. It's clear, it's well-founded. The representative of the Partido Popular has explained what the situation is, what the circumstances are, what was happening, the fears that exist, the risks that exist, and wants to know what the government is doing. By the way, before continuing with that news, the one about the ship, I want to show you an incident that happened in Barcelona a few hours ago. It caught my attention, and few media outlets are reporting it. I want you to see this photo carefully, very carefully. On a road in Barcelona, a police checkpoint, a high-end vehicle, a Porsche Cayenne. He flees. Vehicle coming from France with occupants inside, with North African appearance. Features from the Middle East. They escape the pursuit, get into another vehicle, and leave. When the police arrive at the vehicle, they find this. A trunk loaded with 5 assault rifles. Inside a Porsche Cayenne. Latest generation AK. 74 rifles with accessories, loaded and ready. This is a real photo. It's an AI photo. Is it true? Isn't it true? Has it happened? Hasn't it happened? It's not known. Well, that photo isn't the real one. The news. The Mossos d'Esquadra. It's an illustration. The Mossos d'Esquadra found assault rifles in an abandoned Porsche Cayenne after the occupants fled a checkpoint on the AP7 near Borrassà, Girona. El Mundo and 20 Minutos report that the luxury vehicle was loaded with assault rifles and left open. The weapons visible after the occupants fled. Thank you.
Who knows?
Photos there. This other photo is being published because it seems that the police don't want to say this or don't want to explain it. Here we see, for example, rifles that are older, that are disassembled. The back part, the stock, is removed. Could that be it? It could be. It doesn't seem like they're rifles from the latest generation. The news is going to cause panic. The news is going to cause panic because we are on alert. There's a Eurovision event this Saturday. There are events with the Israeli community. There are events at the national level. There are elections. In Andalusia, it's not known. It's not known. It was left there. Government response. Ursa Major.
Respond. And to finish this question, Mrs. Valcarce.
I think Spain is a country that enjoys 1 second.
The Secretary of State
This one. Secretary of State.
of Defense.
Of Security and Defense. Look at the Secretary of State for Security and Defense and the level she's at.
Ms. Valcarce.
Ms. Valcarce.
In relation to the sinking of the cargo ship Ursa Major under the Russian flag and owned by the shipping company Boron Logistics, which occurred on the night of December 23, 2024. About 62 nautical miles south of Cartagena, the government can provide the following information based on the facts that have been verified and the actions taken by the competent authorities. On December 23, 2024, at 12:53 local time, a distress alert was received from the ship
Anita.
Ursa Major, a 142-meter-long cargo ship with 16 crew members and no dangerous goods on board.
No dangerous goods on board. This is what the government is already saying, that there are no dangerous goods. There aren't any. Here we see the photograph of what experts say would be the lids of 2 nuclear reactors in the back, in the blue area covered, and we're still looking for information about this.
Through the Coordination and Rescue Center, CCS. Given the seriousness of the situation, maritime rescue resources were immediately mobilized. A helicopter, the Uymer 205, the tugboat Clara Campoamor BS-32, and the rapid intervention vessel Salvamar Draco. The nearby Derate ships. Denia reported that the cargo ship had a significant list and observed the crew abandoning the vessel in the rescue boats. Thanks to the quick intervention of another ship, the Oslo carrier, 314 of the 16 crew members were rescued.
14 out of 16, which means 2 are missing. Did they die in the explosion? Did they die because they couldn't reach the boat? What are the circumstances? We don't know. We don't know.
The crew members' testimonies indicate that there was an explosion in the engine room.
In the machine room, I still don't know any ship that has a machine room. But the Deputy Secretary of Defense is saying, machine room. This is the level. Ships that have machine rooms.
Meanwhile, the helicopter confirmed that water was entering through the stern, which sped up the sinking of the ship. At 1927, the Navy patrol boat Pios 71 Serviola arrived in the area and continued to monitor the situation while assistance was being coordinated.
A patrol boat arrives in the area but does not intervene. It doesn't approach the ship, it's just watching. It's engine room, not machine room.
Later, at 2007, a Russian warship arrived.
Now a Russian ship is arriving. A ship is arriving. Year 2024, on the night of the 23rd to the 24th, a Russian ship arrives, which had been cruising around nearby.
Ivan Grem.
Ivan Grem.
Which took over the rescue operations.
Which took over rescue operations. Pay attention to the Ivan Grem, because you're going to be amazed. They were designed to become successor ships to the Ropucha class, intended to land troops and military equipment. They can transport 300 soldiers, 13 tanks, and 35 vehicles. It's already big. The contraption is already big. And besides that ship, the Ivan Grem is associated with the Northern Fleet. What was a Northern Fleet ship doing there? From Russia, involved in this story. September 27, 2024. The amphibious assault ship Ivan Grem could be docked in Morocco. The ship we're talking about was already prepared in September, waiting for Elo. This one we're seeing in the photo. This Tuesday, September 24th, according to information from Defensa.com, the Russian Navy's amphibious assault ship Ivan Grem reportedly arrived at the port of Casablanca, anchored at the Royal Moroccan Navy's naval base. Sierros. According to what was said, Spain was monitoring with patrol boats. Atalaya, and Vigia were monitoring the passage of these Russian naval groups, which were made up of the Ivan Grem, the Alexander Otrakovsky, and the tanker Kola. What were they doing there? Were they lost? The North Sea, they were lost.
Since it was a ship flying the same flag as the ship that had the accident.
Because the ship was Russian. Spain, in its sovereign waters or waters of interest or whatever you want to call them, allows a Russian warship to enter to rescue a ship that has exploded. But we don't know what caused it.
Meanwhile, the Spanish patrol boat and the tugboat
Sat back.
remained in the area.
They just sat there watching the other ship arrive.
Violation of international protocols, but above all, in case they were needed in a possible humanitarian emergency.
When there are humanitarian emergencies, we can bring ships from Cape Verde, intervene directly. But when a ship is sinking, we shouldn't wait to see if they call us. When a ship is sinking, because something has happened in the engine room, as she said, that's when we wait. If it has a virus, we bring them in.
Thank you very much. At 11:20 p.m., the sinking of the Ursa Major was confirmed, about 62 miles from the Spanish coast and 39 miles from the Algerian coast. The remains of the ship currently rest at a depth of 2,500 meters.
Pay attention to what he's about to say now.
This makes it unfeasible to access it, even though it is technically possible.
It makes it unfeasible to access it, even though it is technically possible. So is it possible or not? If it's unfeasible, then it's not possible. The contact's contact isn't a contact. Listen to it again, because here's the key.
They currently rest at a depth of 2,500 meters. What makes it unfeasible to access it, even though it's technically possible, is that you would have to take significant risks.
What significant risk is there in sending a drone with a cable down to 2,500 meters? The drone is going to die. Its life is at risk. Moby Dick could show up, or a giant squid. Can we control the mini submarine that we're going to send down there remotely? Or maybe we'll send Pedro Sanchez or someone from the Border Health Authority or someone to go down and see if there's anything left on the ship. We're going to put them in a kind of spacesuit, but to send them to the bottom of the sea. Is this a joke? It's not that it's surreal. It's a scandal. I mean, some guys send submarines to see the Titanic. They send submarines to look for galleons with gold, and we can't even send a drone underwater to see if there are 2 nuclear reactors off our coast, 65 miles away. Send Padilla.
Multiple central government agencies were involved in this operation.
No one has intervened. You were just watching in case they called.
From Spain, ensuring coordination and efficiency at all times. These resources have been the Maritime Captaincy of Cartagena, the General Staff of the Admiral of Maritime Action, the patrol boat Serviola of the Navy, the Cartagena Rescue Coordination Center, the National Rescue Coordination Center, and the tugboat Clara Campoamor and the vessel Salvamar Draco. Thank you.
Very well. And they applaud you. They applaud you. They applaud you. Applause. Applause. Let's go with the super chat. There's more. There's more. Don't worry. There's more. This is already terrible and scandalous. Really terrible. Thank you so much. Don't say anything. We're with you. Jogar, I like to be honest and say it. Today is a really tough day for me. You'll find out soon in the book. Whenever I say you'll find out, things show up on the channel afterward. Food, can fish be radioactive? Is that dangerous? Arturo, Vladivostok is in the Pacific near North Korea. What is that ship doing in the Mediterranean? That ship was headed for Vladivostok. What the hell is it doing crossing the Mediterranean? Why are they sending it that way? What's going on here? Suddenly, the Russian Navy appears, but it wasn't there at first. Spain is run by corrupt leaders who try to deceive us but fail, partly due to your neutral stance and strategies. Look, marriage isn't bad. The problem is the divorce that comes after. Here, for now, we're doing this without any paperwork. Thank you. Let's keep going.
Let's continue. Mr. Rojas Manrique, please respond.
Thank you, Madam Secretary of State. I appreciate the detailed information you have provided us, but allow me to point out that data alone does not replace strategy. And the reason for this question was really precisely to assess the actual capacity, as I mentioned before, of maritime surveillance, preventive analysis, and strategic control that Spain exercised before, during, and after. Regarding this event, you mentioned what happened during it. We have heard a lot of technical information, operational timelines, and administrative references. But what this Commission needs to know is whether the government draws strategic conclusions from what happened. Because the sinking of this ship is not relevant only because of what happened that night. It is relevant because of what it reveals about our maritime environment: increased opaque traffic, aging ships, logistics networks linked to international conflicts, and increasing risks to our marine environment. And in this scenario, the question is not what happened. The question is whether Spain is prepared for what may happen, whether there is active and preventive surveillance, and whether we have real coordination between defense, intelligence, and maritime security. And whether the government considers the Western Mediterranean and the Canary Islands area in the Atlantic to be areas of interest today, and a top strategic priority. Because national security is not measured by the quality of after-action reports. It is measured by the state's ability to anticipate. And I believe that is the kind of reflection this committee expects from the government. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Of course, it's just that they haven't said anything. They haven't said if we have drone surveillance systems, if any personnel were sent on board to check the cargo to see what the hell had happened for it to explode. It's outrageous. What is the government?
Answer. And to conclude this question, Ms. Valcarce.
I believe that Spain is a country that enjoys international respect and prestige.
Basically, yes.
Yes. Basically based on Padilla.
In line with the approach established by this government, led by Pedro Sanchez.
Now they're already selling us on
Peter, he is the strongest, the greatest, and most steadfast defender of international law and also international humanitarian law. But above all, because the performance of this government is excellent in areas that are so important for the economy of this country. I'm not the one saying it. The international press says it. It's the best economy in the developed world.
I think it has to do with the economy. With a sinking ship, then some Russians show up, then a Russian oil tanker, and for 2 years, Russian warships keep appearing, which they place on top of the Ursa. And who knows what they're taking out of there, that there are explosions detected on the sea floor, that there's a risk there could be 2 nuclear reactors. What does Peter Sanchez's economy, or Peter the Dirties, have to do with this?
The best. But also in the workplace, with more jobs, better quality jobs.
But how is employment relevant now? But what does employment have to do with it? And she says, Nadia, 2024. Hey, something more current, right? Nadia, let me explain to you. Nadia, let me explain it using your comment. With your comment, you imply that your IQ, as Donald Trump would say, is 0. All right? I think we're going to send you as a volunteer to go down 2,500 meters deep to see if there's a nuclear reactor with a radioactive leak off the coast of Spain. I think you're the ideal candidate to send down there because I think you just don't understand the news. What you don't understand is that the news from 2024 until now is that the government is hiding a very serious incident. What you don't understand is that there's a pretty big public health risk, possibly 65 miles from Cartagena. What you don't understand is that there's someone sinking ships off the coast of Spain without Spain knowing about it. That's what you don't understand. So you can choose whatever you want, either go down with an oxygen tank or free dive. But you're probably not going to make it back to the surface. All right. All right.
A country that expands the rights and freedoms of its citizens, because we are citizens, and in Spain, we enjoy equal opportunities.
But who cares about this? What does this have to do with the boat? What boat?
Del padiamenio común. But above all, we value diversity. We respect women's rights. And of course, the co-official languages, sir, which are also part of our common heritage.
What do languages have to do with it? Was there a language school set in the Ursa?
Of all the Spaniards. Rula. But, sir, what the Popular Party can and cannot do, partido, the main opposition party, of course, is everything our Constitution and our democracy allow it to do, naturally. But of course, what I do say to you, sir, is that the Popular Party is not doing the right thing. It fails the Spanish people when it undermines Spain's international prestige. And look, one of the ways it does this is
This is unbelievable. Damn, nice one. Show off.
with systematic lying. And lying systematically is one moment.
Nadia, how many meters have you done? Have you reached 2,500 yet? Or how much do you have left to go? We're waiting for you to tell us. Nadia, are you there?
What you just stated seems unbelievable coming from you. Regarding Spain's commitment to defense spending, Spain has committed.
This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable. Just stop it already. Yes. While Nadia is arriving at the ship to see if there are 2 reactors there or not, let's keep going with this. Welcome. Don't worry, Nadia will arrive. We'll send a rescue mission like we did with Ondius. What could happen here? What's happening here, or what we're seeing is obvious or evident that information is being withheld. That information that's not being told, that's not being acted on, or that they don't want to share, poses a serious danger to security. Of the Spanish people, of Spain. I can't imagine that in a country, for example, the United States of America, this is going to happen here, 65 miles away. A Russian ship is going to appear to rescue another Russian ship that just sank to the bottom of the sea. I can't imagine it. It's not that I can't imagine it. I don't believe it. I don't think that's the case. Now, what has been talked about, what has been said, and what has been leaked out there, these are just speculations now. It's called a torpedo of cavitation. The torpedo Barracuda. This has been talked about, that a technologically advanced torpedo was used, virtually a secret project, which has no resistance in the water when it is launched, because a bubble is created that opens the way for it. So it's not propelled by propellers, but instead it has a jet. It has a jet engine. And it's infallible. It can't be diverted with countermeasures like the ones they use. Or when they use this on you, it's game over. This is being talked about. It was introduced in 2005, but they say it was never developed. There are people who say that it was developed. There are people who say that's what was used against the Ursa. There are other people who talk about ships, drones, Ukrainians sinking ships over there. We don't know. We're waiting for someone to come and send us a picture of what the hole looks like. Or the explosions. Nadia, how are you? How's it going? We're trying to connect with Nadia, but the signal isn't getting through. She's too far away, 2,500 meters underwater. It'll be hard for her to send us anything. No, but the thing is, that's the same as nothing. They don't say anything. They don't tell us anything. They don't explain anything. There's no information about anything. So why do we need you? Why do we need them? Why? This is a parliamentary committee to ask about a serious matter, okay? According to CNN, a NATO member could have sunk the ship. Who would want North Korea not to have a nuclear-capable submarine?
So, ladies, I'm sending you a message.
December 23rd, 2024.
A guy speaking Russian on a Russian ship recording another Russian ship that's sinking.
With an unreadable name, was abandoned by its crew in the Mediterranean, far from the Strait of Gibraltar. The crew was abandoned in our lifeboat, which is being rescued.
And then another ship appears, also a Russian cargo ship.
This is the truck.
And us?
So, like many other ships, they left everything and answered the call.
But what's going on? What's happening?
What's happening?
The officially declared cargo, brace yourselves. 129 empty containers, 2 cranes, and 2 manhole covers. 2 manhole covers. According to a satellite image, manhole covers, seriously, manhole covers. That's what they put out there. Satellite images from 2024. Let's look at the manhole covers. How are they? In Russia, there are manholes that are huge. December 11, 2024. On December 4 of that same year, 2024, they appear at that port where the Ursa is docked. And 2 blue objects, approximately 5 by 7.5 meters. 7 by 5 by 7 by 5. Those are the drains.
Here you can see the port on the left. This is France.
It's France.
Between one thing and another. And it didn't go well. It didn't go well. 110 kilometers from Cartagena. He says there was an engine failure, and after the engine failure, it sank. Let's put the image up so people can see it again. Don't worry, it's coming. No one is reaching the bottom. He's like Julio Verne at Earth's core. At the center, 110 kilometers, 60 miles from Cartagena. It's around there. Is also close by. Cabo Gata Níjar. It blows over there. Some kind of investigation or radiation control team has been sent. An evaluation has been made. The journey of the Ursa began on December 2nd, 2024. What's more, check out what we're about to see, which is already insane. Let's zoom in. And we can see it over. It left Russia on December 2nd, heading to Vladivostok, accompanied by 2 military ships. Throughout the entire journey, the ship was accompanied by 2 Russian military ships. A ship that was carrying 2 culverts, 159 empty containers, and 2 cranes, but it's being escorted by warships. From December 29 to 21, the Portuguese Navy follows the Ursa Major when it passes through Portugal. On December 22, the Spanish authorities check after noticing a reduction in the ship's speed. But the ship had no problems. On the 23rd, the ship makes an emergency call before sinking. Spain sees a ship called Ursa Major that is following or being followed by Portugal. And Portugal has said, hey, there's a ship here that's being followed by 2 Russian ships. Maybe it's carrying something strange. So Peter, who talks with the people from External Health and with Mónica Garcia and with Defense Minister Margarita Robles, says, hey, the Portuguese have called us saying there's a cargo ship with 2 military escorts in our waters. What should we do? And they say, don't worry. Unless there's a pandemic on board, we do nothing. Peter stays calm. The water, as long as it's not the 11:50, 3 in the morning emergency call, 7:27 in the evening. A military ship in the waters, while calm, an escort ship in the waters. A ship appears at 9:50. The Russians it says here that they fire flares and then 4 explosions can be seen. At 9:10, the Ursa Major sinks. Now I ask, where's the video? Where is the Spanish Navy video? Where is the rescue team's video from the area? We want to see it. We want to see how the Russian ship approaches, launches some flares, and then there are explosions on the ship. To sink it completely, we want to see it. What has been destroyed? What was inside? Spanish investigators, when they question the crew, the captain tells the investigators that the ship was carrying 2 nuclear reactors. December 24th, 2024. What does the government do? The captain is drunk. January 2025. And now we're going to explain to Nadia why the old news is going viral now. January 2025. Russia returns to the ship. 4 explosions in the Ursa Major area are detected when Russia was sending equipment out to the ship. They were possibly destroying what was left of the nuclear reactors. August 2025, August 2025, February 2026, plane to detect nuclear activity. It's seen circling in the Ursa area. What you're hearing? An aircraft from the United States, a WC-135 rivet joint, Constant Phoenix, which is what it's called, flying around to detect radiation. But in Spain, everything is fine. We're close to reaching 525,000 followers here on Estrategias Militares family. Let's go with your super chat. I don't know what you're thinking, but to me, it seems that it's part of the tragic history of Spain. Estrategias, your health is our priority in this community. Please rest as long as needed. Your information will remain here. And we will accept it as true. Thank you very much, really. I try to be honest, Sarah. I have to get up early at 7 in the morning. It's 2 o'clock at 7. I have to be for a pretty important matter. But here we are. Cantinflas ended up in tears with that lady. Cantinflas. It's just incredible. It's just that from 11 in the morning until 11 at night, when the ship sinks, 1,000 things happen. A warship has arrived. They've placed explosives on the ship. A lot of things have happened. Things keep happening. The United States isn't sending a detection aircraft. They wouldn't send an aircraft to detect nuclear particles to the Mediterranean unless they knew something was there. They won't remove the reactors at 1,500 meters, and corrosion has already made them useless. But what we send are some drones with underwater charges. We place them, we blow it up. I don't know if someday in Spain there will be a president with common sense and with some balls and sends a Navy ship, but a real ship, not a patrol boat or a speedboat just to take a spin around there, while the Russians are circling around, but a serious ship with a naval drone to go down there and see what the hell was there. That's exactly why. That's what's happening, of course. Why doesn't the government want to say it? Or why doesn't the government want to explain it? Well, I think the situation is clear. 1. To admit, obviously, that off your own coast? No. An operation is being carried by a foreign power that's sinking ships. That's serious. But what you can't allow either is to acknowledge that there are 2 nuclear reactors 110 kilometers from one of the most touristy spots in Andalusia. Just a few more kilometers from Torrevieja, Benidorm, and Alicante. You ruin tourism. You ruin it. You destroy it. So the government prefers to stay silent. Everyone stays quiet. Of course. That's the problem, family. We don't know what's in there.
And they still don't want to go down and see it. No more, no less. People are asking, what's going on? What's happening?
With this story, Russia sending nuclear reactors to North Korea. What makes you think he won't send something else to Iran later? What makes you think that Pakistan won't send it to Iran? What makes you think that North Korea won't send it to Iran? Gasoline prices going up? If Iran, for example, gets a nuclear weapon, it controls the entire planet. It's that clear. Very clear. We'll see what happens. Pay attention. Listen to this. Exclusive here on Estrategias Militares. Breaking news. Una operación de entrenamiento. What you're hearing are B-2 bombers on a round-trip flight from Whiteman in the United States of America, requesting clearance to carry out a training operation. We already know the final destination.
Winch 11, cross 44 north 20 west, 1851, maintaining level 270, estimating 4330 north, 1850 west. Please confirm 1859er and request to orbit until 2000 Zulu. Over. Winch 11, good copy. Crossing 4330 north, 1850 west at 1900. At the moment, the controller says, thank you.
Come on, we're right on time. I'm wide awake now, you know. I'm not sleepy anymore. I'm already awake. So, I'm just waiting to see if anyone comes back from the boat to tell us something. I think for now, nothing. Maybe he got lost or was taken away, I don't know, by some sea monster. Hunt. Please look at this. Hunt. It's a drone entering a house. Hello? Look who we have here. Look what we have here behind the house. Inside a house. In a room of the house. Man. But what are you doing around here, little guy? Are you lost?
What are you doing here? Here.
It's incredible.
What are you doing around here?
What are you doing around here?
The poor guy had gotten lost inside a civilian home. He was there, lost, the member of Hamas, waiting for someone to show up so he could kill them.
Incredible, huh?
Anyone from there? No. Have you lost anyone from there?
Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Phew! Mwah. I think if we send the drone out again, they won't find anything anymore.
We're live, folks, here on Estrategias Militares. No. Actually, it's good that these kinds of videos come out so we can later show why the buildings collapse in Gaza. Wonderful. Wonderful. It's wonderful.
What do you want me to say?
These things really make you think. Family, thank you so much for joining us live here on Estrategias Militares. Thank you for those amazing super chats. Thanks to all that support. We'd appreciate your likes and comments. Tell us your thoughts on the live stream. See you in the next show. Take care.